With a single bloodline, there was no more conflict. The healing had worked. San had succeeded in curing the first liger. However, the fusion had drained the female so much that she ran short of blood. She required an immediate blood transfusion. San asked the men if any one of them had a better physical condition, which allowed them to donate blood. Luckily, one of them came up and said that he would donate any amount of blood as long as a life was saved. San asked him to stretch his arm. He held his arm and cut into his bloodlines to draw out the blood. As the blood outpoured from his veins, it suspended and transformed in the air by virtue of the mysterious heaven skill. From the air, it passed through the female's pores and transfused into her body. With continuous infusion of blood, her complexion slowly improved, and a faint white light emitted from her body. The purity of the light indicated that she would never face a problem of bloodline conflict ever again. It had led to a significant reduction in her cultivation, but it could be improved gradually with time. Now that the female liger was all healthy and fit, San called Saint to come inside and visit his wife. He had been hiding behind the door ever since, and was waiting for his wife to recover before he could meet her. When he came inside and saw that she was in the healing phase, he expressed the immense gratitude he had for San. He saved his wife's life. The favor was too big for him, thus he regarded himself as San's slave. However, San had already told him that he wasn't in need of a slave. All he wanted in return was for the Liger clan to become his allies. He might be cooking some deep planning inside which no one was aware of. Saint Liger was so happy that he couldn't stop smiling. He wondered if the unification of both bloodlines would be applicable to the rest of the clan too. San elucidated that the healing procedure was theoretically possible for all the ligers, but he could only try it on adult ones for the time being. Young ligers may not be able to sustain such high energy and bloodline consumption. Saint understood his limitations pretty well. It didn't matter if there was a slight delay in curing the youngsters. The good thing was that he saw a bright ray of hope. Finally, their clan's curse would be lifted. San was the true benefactor of the Liger clan. He deserved to be upskilled to the divine level. Now that his wife was feeling better, Saint Liger took San to visit the elder Liger of their village. He lived just a few streets from his residence. They went there, and Saint dictated the whole story of how San saved his wife and integrated her bloodlines. The elder wasn't ready to believe his words. It apparently seemed an impossible act. Even the great demon emperor couldn't help the curse. How could a mere human do it? San told him that the skill he used to cure her was a secret that he couldn't unfold. His audacity provoked the elder. He had never met such a courageous human who could disagree with him at his face. He threatened to detain San in the village and use foul means to ask about the secret. However, San said that he wasn't fretful of any threats because he had already defeated the strongest Liger saint in the battle at the Colosseum. The elder Liger was taken aback. He didn't imagine that little human to be that strong. On top of that, Saint Liger was also supporting that human. There had to be something unusual and special about him. When the elder realized that the benefit of the clan rested in the hands of San, he instantly modified his behavior in San's favor. He said that because he was the benefactor of the big cat and kitten, he must be the benefactor of the whole clan. For a while, San was befuddled. He couldn't comprehend whom the elder was referring to when he said big cat and kitten. Saint Liger cleared the confusion that his name was a big cat and his wife's name was a kitten. Their names were adorable and cute. The Ligers weren't fond of either of their parent species. They didn't want to associate themselves with either the lions or the tigers. Thus, they named their offspring after cats. Even the elder Liger was named after a cat. His name was an old cat. Anyhow, coming to the topic of becoming allies, the old cat said that he didn't have any issues with it as long as San could elevate the curse from their clan. Because it was a huge pact, San advised to sign a blood contract as a testament. Blood contract was the highest level of contract. It couldn't be broken even by the great demon emperor. The elders agreed to sign the contract willingly. Thus, they both signed it and took an oath to stand by each other's side. Elder Liger promised to fulfill the oath and said that he would assemble an army of Ligers who would be ready to fight at a single signal sent by San. Now, both of them were partners in all matters. San had to leave for the ancestral court soon, but before taking off, he offered Old Cat to cure a group of Ligers. Thus, he stayed in Shirhu village for a few days rather than go back home to Kari City. The Old Cat sent the most critically ill Ligers to be cured first. The process of integrating the bloodlines was going pretty smoothly because the number of individuals to be healed was small and the blood supply was relatively convenient. While he performed the mysterious heaven skill to merge the bloodlines, the Old Cat used to stay by his side. When he witnessed the fusion process for the first time, he was taken aback. From then on, he undoubtedly trusted San's abilities. A corner of great respect developed in his heart for that spectacular human. In fact, everyone in the Shirhu village honored and respected him. Within a short span of half a month, he had succeeded in treating all critically ill Ligers. He gained the recognition and love of all the ligers. In the meantime, San took Old Cat and Big Cat to the Golden Valley to show them around. Both the ligers were shocked to see the ethereal beauty and peace there. The Old Cat even decided to send the recently treated clansmen to the Golden Valley so that they could better recover and regain their cultivation. They would also be safe from the two great demon races, who would kill them if they found out about the fusion of their bloodlines. The integration and fusion process of ligers was beneficial for San too. He got the chance to absorb a lot of fused bloodline power in recent days. Perhaps that was one of the benefits he aimed for. He had been absorbing energies from various monster races for quite a long time, and the liger power was an addition to it. After spending a few days in Shirhu Town, he returned back to his residence in Keri City by teleportation. One night, when he made sure that there was no disturbance in the surroundings, he sat down in the meditation pose. He began to integrate the bloodline power of the ligers with the other bloodlines in his body. He had a dantian in which the bloodlines of all the previous energies he had absorbed were kept safe. In the dantian, there were a bunch of transformations, a few of which were the wind tiger transformation, the elephant demon transformation, the peacock transformation, and the consonant heavenly eye transformation. San intended to replace that with the liger transformation. However, the wind tiger transformation was devoured when it interacted with the liger one. Unexpectedly, after he devoured the wind transformation, the liger transformation began to devour the elephant demon transformation. The elephant demon began to dissipate as soon as it was hit by the liger's white gold flame. It was something highly surprising for him. San immediately realized that the liger transformation was definitely a Class A bloodline. He was hit by the same feeling earlier when he integrated the consonant heavenly eye transformation. For a few moments, after he integrated the liger, the dantian was vibrating continuously with all the other bloodlines clashing. Eventually, the 6 bloodline power imprints finally stabilized. In the process, he lost 2 bloodlines, but his energy reserves did not decrease. Instead, it was enhanced even further, which testified to the liger transformation being a first-class one. It meant that the liger bloodline could also be used to become the Great Demon Emperor. The integration process took him so long that the next day dawned. He had planned to cure and fuse the clashing bloodlines of the big cat that day. To begin the day, he thought of taking a bath first. As he got up from his meditation spot, his senior brother and teammate, Dubai, came running towards him. He wanted to have breakfast with him, but out of the blue, Dubai was smashed back and slammed with the door. It was quite a horrific incident to witness, and San realized after some time that it was caused by a golden aura emitting from his eyes. He forgot to conceal the liger transformation aura after getting up from meditation. Poor Dubai bore so much pain due to his mistake. He was shivering with fear to see the intense golden light in San's eyes. San comforted him by saying that it was the result of just another breakthrough, and that there was nothing to worry about. They went for breakfast, after which San teleported himself to the Shirhu village again. He was very excited because his patient for that day was Big Cat. Big Cat had already reached the 9th rank's peak. He was just about to break through to the divine level. He went straight away to Big Cat's residence and asked him to get ready for the fusion of his bloodlines. Big Cat was astounded as the news was suddenly broken to him. Fortunately, he didn't have to come up with a refusal because it was taken care of by the Elder Cat. He visited just in time and denied San for the fusion of his bloodlines. According to his perspective, he wanted to send Big Cat along with San to the ancestral court before his fusion because the fusion process would quench quite a large quantity of his energy. He was worried for San because the ancestral court had so many big powerhouses. It was necessary to send solid protection forces with him for his safety, and the best option to provide protection was Big Sea Cat. Thus, he didn't want to waste his precious strength. However, San was against his plan. He was confident that he could protect himself without any aid from others. For the time being, Big Cat entering the divine level was of prime importance to him. Thus, he wanted to fuse his bloodlines as soon as possible. Besides, many of the powerhouses there were of divine level, so Big Cat's protection wouldn't save him from them in any way. Judging by all those circumstances, it was better for him to stay back and strive to break through to the divine level. The Elder Cat was somewhat convinced by San's perspective. He thus ordered Big Cat to get ready for the fusion of his bloodlines. When his elder brother made the decision, Big Cat was obliged to agree with them. He went to his bedroom and lay down on the bed so that the fusion procedure could begin. San began with the mysterious heaven skill and merged the two clashing lines. He had practiced enough that fusion was no longer an issue for him. The whole treatment took only a few minutes, and the Big Cat's bloodlines successfully merged. The Liger Sword Saint felt thrilled as he finally got the chance to be upskilled to the divine level. He was thankful to his benefactor because of whom it was all becoming possible. Before leaving, San hugged the big cat and quietly absorbed some of his bloodline power. Perhaps that was the reason he wanted to fuse his bloodlines before leaving for the ancestral court. After all, Big Cat was the strongest liger. His power would definitely be extraordinary and would help San a lot in his future battles. There were still a few days left before he left for the ancestral court, so he went back to Carry City. However, he didn't go home. He went to a place where he was close to Mei Gongzi, his reincarnated wife. She was in retreat. He frequently used to meet her. He was concerned that she wouldn't be able to find him once she left the retreat, because he was to stay at the ancestral court for a long time. For her ease, he set up a miniature telecommunication array that could communicate over long distances. It was a sophisticated magic array. The materials used in its construction were similar to those used in the transmission array. As he completed the task of assuring her safety, he visited the Redemption Academy, where he met his teacher, Zhang Haoshuan. He wanted to bid him farewell before leaving for the Grand Coliseum in which he had participated. The teacher seemed to be somewhat worried about his participation. He was a small child, aged only 14 years. Some serious difficulties could be awaiting him there. Zhang tried to convince him to visit the ancestral court together with him, but he had already made up his mind. There was no way he would stay back. Thus, the teacher bid him farewell and wished him good luck. It was decided that the teacher would travel to the ancestral court separately on his own, and San would travel with the caravan along with his team. From there, San traveled along with his whole team to visit the master of the Colosseum, the Lingxi Deer Demon King. He told him that he was ready to leave for the ancestral court as per his instructions. The master granted him a caravan to accompany him during the journey to the court. 3 days later, the most awaited day had eventually dawned. It was the day on which the Shrek team was to leave to appear in the Grand Coliseum. They set off on the journey along with the caravan. The team of 5 was seated in a special carriage prepared by the master. During the journey, they practiced their cultivation skills to polish them even further. The journey was a very long one, but it was made easy by the professional caravan, which they were a part of. The official took care of all the matters very professionally. Finally, 15 days into the journey, they reached their destination. The ancestral court was indeed a beautiful city with the highest dominance. The whole area was surrounded by tall mountains, and the main city lay in its basin. All the mountains were topped by colossal statues, which represented the great demon emperors. Those heavenly spirits once ruled the monster kingdom. Because the majestic city was naturally surrounded by such huge peaks, it didn't require any security in the form of walls. There was a single route of entrance. As the caravan reached the entrance, it was thoroughly checked and investigated, after which they were released inside. The inner city was truly mesmerizing. A handful of tall buildings were built all over the area. The central area was specifically reserved for the palaces in which the great demon emperors and heavenly spirit emperors resided. San and his teammates were quite entertained as they traveled through the city to reach their final destination, the Lingxi Chamber of Commerce. Just as they got out of the carriage, they met the owner of the chamber. He narrated some basic rules of the area to them. The team members were allowed to sign up for the Grand Coliseum within 7 days, after which their tickets would expire. There was no restriction on moving around the ancestral court, but fighting and flying were discouraged. Moreover, he also informed them about the restricted zones. None of them were allowed to enter or even wander near the territory of the demon and heavenly spirit emperors without authorization. It was considered a capital crime. Other than those areas, they weren't endangered in any other zone of the ancestral court because they were all nobles. As long as they wore the noble badge, no one would dare to harm them in any way. The owner of the field was a kind guy. He told them to return to him after their fight in the Grand Coliseum so that he could make arrangements for their safe return back home. As he left, San and his team decided to meet their teacher Zhang because he would have reached there too. San took out a small magical pill through which he could telecommunicate with his master. It was actually a communication array that could navigate the teacher's location. He delivered him a message to send his location so that they could meet. Just after a few seconds, Zhang received his reply that he was at the White Tiger Hotel. San put back the pill and ordered his team to follow him to the White Tiger Hotel. Their walk to the destination was quite strange because they hardly noticed any humans around. The ancestral court was full of all kinds of ethnicities, including monsters and spirits, but the humans were in trace amounts. The strangest observation of all was the spirits, who appeared to be plant-like. The walk wasn't long. They reached the White Tiger Hotel in no time. Zhang was already waiting for them as they entered the lobby. Owing to his divine-level status, he brought them to the VIP area. He had rented a luxurious king-class suite and invited the Shrek team to stay with him for the night. The king-class suite was very expensive. It costed 10 element coins for a one-night stay. Though expensive, the vibe there was worth it because the spirit in its environment was really strong. Zhang told them that they had only seen the living room yet. The cultivation room had a richer spirit, which they all were free to experience. A single day of cultivation in that room was worth dozens of days of cultivation in a regular environment. Zhang told San that he would be leaving for headquarters tomorrow. He told them to be cautious, as it was in their best interest to keep their identity a secret. He had already spoken about it with Elder Guan and Siru, who said that the Shrek team still required some time to grow enough to fight the battles. If the headquarters noticed them early, they would make some adverse arrangements for them, which would make it extremely difficult for them to win. Zhang was also concerned about the array discs which they fabricated. He thought the headquarters might take advantage of him in that matter. To settle the matter, he had thought of setting up another sales channel to sell the discs himself,